Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Energize Your Online Business podcast. Hey there, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Okay, guys, we are going to talk about social, but not just any social media, not just like, oh, okay, I've heard this before. We are going to talk about posting on social media that will have, so that you can have an ROI. It should not be posting for the sake of posting, but posting that pays off in purchases. Now, it may not be a direct line to purchases. It might be a dotted line to purchases, but the goal is that it's not just posting for the sake of posting. It's posting to help support you in making sales. Now, I would say this one is going to be especially fun for me because I do so little, exactly, so little actually active. I have my tasks to record stuff but in terms of the strategy, I am so blessed, not to mention grateful, that our company has grown to the point where I don't really do much on a daily basis with social strategy or anything like that. So, Kate, take it away.
I appreciate the moral support.
Get a cup of coffee or something. Yeah, you're doing great. 2 thumbs up. No, I certainly do have things to contribute, but
yes. And so these are tactics that we've been using and found to be helpful in no particular order, I would say, for most of these, except for the first one, which is, I think, first and foremost, is consistency, which may seem super obvious, but I think it bears repeating. If you're showing up sporadically, it's algorithm-wise, it's just not helpful. You need to have some level of consistency. And I think depending on who you are in your business and what bandwidth you have, that's going to vary. And so I would say going into consistency with something that is achievable for you. And so if saying, I'm going to post every single day, twice a day, morning, afternoon, if that's not realistic for a long term, which
all right. I'm just smiling because I think I come back from events and conferences where somebody on stage is like, yeah, to grow my business, I posted once every day, and they were brand new to it, but I come back all revved up and I'm like, yeah, guys, guess what? I'm going to go live every day. And I feel like the entire team is like, oh, okay, well, let us know when you're going to start doing that. And it doesn't happen. I don't have time for that.
No. Also, like, path to burnout. So I think, and this is another tactic too that we found helpful just in terms of not necessarily tying to ROI, but just bonus tip internally of batching our content creation for social, because having to do something every single day and be on camera every single day, as we've recently talked about, even right now, I feel like I could have put in more effort for being on camera for the folks watching YouTube, but it takes a lot of energy. Thank you. But so batching as much as you can to create that consistency and schedule your posts out. And so we do have posts that are scheduled 3 to 4 times a week, I would say, with more kind of timely posts, if you will, added in as we see opportunities to take advantage of any sort of trends or trending audio. But even those, have they helped boost things for us? And when the trends are related to what our brands are offering? Yeah, but the consistency factor and providing value to our audiences is far more important than capitalizing on trends.
Well, and I think so many people are like, well, I have to be on the trend because I want my reel to go viral. I want my reel to go viral. But you know what? It's great if your reels go viral if you are an influencer, if you are essentially selling yourself. And I don't mean that in the way it came out. G-rated podcast. But if what you're selling is your persona, then yeah, that's great if your reel goes live, your reel goes viral. But it's very unlikely that if you are selling something to a specific audience, the way most course creators and group program creators are, it's very unlikely that even if your reel goes viral, that it's going to be reaching the right audience anyway and for the right reasons. So even, I think that this goal of like, well, I want this to go viral. It doesn't matter if it goes viral, but it's not in front of anybody who's actually going to follow you or purchase from you, then it's 100% a vanity outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that is important, though, for no matter who you are, that we've found is that real humans and being authentic is much, much more effective than stock images. Obviously, you can test this yourself, and you should be looking at how much people are actually engaging with your content, whether and again, this is coming up later in terms of metrics, but I'll skip there right now. Why not? Let's
go
talk
for it.
About
You're in
metrics.
charge. Do it.
looking at the right metrics and knowing, okay, even if this post got liked by 50 people, does that actually matter? Is that what I wanted them to do with this post? If it's a story that you had a link in, how many people clicked that link versus how many people saw it? It doesn't really matter that, 1,000 people saw it if one person clicks on it. And so weighing, obviously, engagement is great when people are liking your content and kind of giving you that validation that maybe they want to see more of that content. And that's definitely something to keep an eye on of, okay, to use our copywriting run as an example, every time we post something about SEO is very popular with copywriters to understand what search engine optimization is. Okay, maybe do we want to create more angles for that type of content because they seem to be getting value out of what we're creating on that topic? I don't know if you had anything to add. You look very...
I'm just sitting back enjoying myself. No, but actually, I'm glad that you use SEO because that's a very interesting point. I don't want to educate you guys too much, but search engine optimization is not really a copywriting activity, right?
Yeah.
It's more content writing. And on top of the fact, that's just one small part of it. Optimizing an entire site is a very huge career. So often we'll get new copywriters who are like, I need to learn SEO. Like, no, my dear friend, that's a whole other career. It's not something that falls within copywriting, even though there's still job postings. It's like it's 19, maybe not 90, but it's like 2005. I'm looking for an SEO copywriter. Not a thing. But anyway, so even with knowing that SEO gets a lot of clicks or gets a lot of likes, it may not make sense for us for that to be something that we lean on because it's not actually a topic that is in line with what we sell. Would it make sense for us to do topics about to educate people that SEO is not something that they need to worry about as a copywriter, which I know for a fact that we do. So I want you, Kate, to know that I know that we do that. But I want the listeners to understand the distinction because you could get a lot of likes on something that is off brand for you or off topic for you. Unless you're going to pivot your business, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should lean into creating more posts on that topic if it's not something that is in line with what you offer and what your target audience wants. And that can be another thing as you are building up an audience. If you're building up an audience of, I remember how I said I wasn't going to talk that much this episode.
I love it.
You can't stop me. If you're building up an audience, but you're building up an audience of people who are not your target, then all of those numbers are going to get skewed. Again, we were talking, I think it was on a previous episode, if you do a summit with somebody and you get a whole bunch of subscribers, but the summit it's kind of tangential to your topic, but you're like, all right, great, I'll get those subscribers and they follow you. But if it's not your target audience and you have this large group of people liking and interacting with a certain type of content, and then you start going, oh, well, they want this. Just be careful about who your audience is because your audience can be giving you feedback that isn't necessarily valid. So you can't just kind of close your eyes and go, oh, well, this is what they want. You have to go into everything strategically.
Yeah. And to that point, if people are liking it, what are other angles in to make sure you can get your key points across using that as kind of the in? And that's kind of what we do with the SEO topic to say, okay, this is not copywriting, but people are going to have eyes on it. So how can we use this as a hook to hook people in and then kind of educate them on the rest that they need to know? So I think this is one of the more powerful opportunities for connecting your social media with an ROI is ManyChat. We are big fans. Not promoted to say this. I don't even think we have an affiliate link, but maybe we should get one if that's available because we're big fans. So ManyChat is basically an opportunity to, you've probably experienced this, but for people that haven't, if someone comments on a post or you ask them to take some sort of action. So if you comment on this on social media on our promotion for this episode 47, I think it is, we will send you the full link to watch or listen to the full episode. And so it's a great way to obviously send people content. Now, with social media, keeping people on the platform is much, much more effective. People don't necessarily always like to leave the platform. And so with ManyChat, what we've done and what most people using this, I feel like, are doing is building a workflow so that if someone comments something, you have a reason, whether it's a freebie that they really want or something to get, but you can lead them into workflows for opting into your email list and getting them on your email list so they can sign up for that all within Instagram, for example, or Facebook Messenger. We've had much, much better luck with ManyChat on Instagram than Facebook, but obviously test it for yourself. But when that whole flow is within the platform, it makes it very easy. And I've done it recently. Instagram too, if they're signing up with the email that they use for Instagram, all of that's just pre-populated. So they just have to click some buttons. And if they need to adjust it, there's ways to do that. And they can edit their name, they can edit their email, all of that good stuff. But everything happens within that platform and they can get on your email list. And getting them on your email list is super, super powerful to be able to send them and get them the messaging in front of them and your offer in front of them and all of that. But using, again, social, I think that's the biggest ROI connection because we're basically getting leads organically for free and getting them onto our email list without having to, obviously the content creation time and there's time and there's money tied to this, but effectively we're not having to advertise to get people onto our email list, which is amazing.
And we certainly do. We certainly do advertise,
Sure.
but with ManyChat, it is not paid media.
Yes. And the nice thing about ManyChat too, one of the best things about this is for every comment we receive on a post, there's actually double because you can build in your responses. And so anytime someone comments, we have an automated response. You can make several different ones so it doesn't feel so robot-y. In fact, I saw someone on our account engaging with ManyChat the other day and they were like, wow, this was so fast. And then I forgot what their next answer was. And they were talking to it as if it was a real human, which kudos to our team for writing copy that sounds authentic and in our brand voice and all of that good stuff. But
I think that's something sometimes people get a little in their heads about that, about like, well, I want to be authentic. I don't want people to think I'm a robot or that is, I want to have authentic connections with people. And if I do ManyChat, if I automate it, then I can't have authentic connections with people. And that's just not true. Here's the thing. Do you feel that you have to write an individual email to each separate person on your email list in order to build a connection with them that way? No, you don't, right? You create one email and then you send it out to them. And because you created it, or maybe a writer on your team, but someone created it and sent it out to them, it is a part of you that is going out to them. And when you are building ManyChat, it's the same thing. Like you may not be literally typing that response to them, but when you originally did it, you came up with that response and you infused it with your friendliness and your helpfulness and your good humor. So yes, it's automated, but it still came from you in the same way that your automated emails or your pre-scheduled emails or any of that still comes from you. You can still build a relationship with people on Autopilot. Party line right there. But also too, if it starts going down a road where they're asking questions, you can have your team members or you, if you're a small team, you can hop in and start answering any questions they have there. So it's not like it has to only be ManyChat that you chat. You can't then interact with them. It has to be the bot doing it. There is absolutely some crossover. But the point is that yes, some people may want to talk to you more, which is great. And then you can. But some people will just be satisfied with getting that information and then interacting with your content and maybe signing up and then purchasing from you.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is about the user experience and the user, if they want something from you and they're excited for something about you, to be able to automate that and give it to them right away, what exactly it is that they want without waiting. If you're checking, Instagram twice a day or once a day or whatever, they could wait hours before they get the thing that they want. So being able to automate that is very beneficial to your audience. They're happy to receive it. And most people, again, maybe they might know it's a bot, they might not. They might not care though. I guarantee, because if they're getting what they want and what they came for, that's really what matters. And to Nikki's point, there is going to be a level of crossover. You're listing work off your plate or potentially one of your team members' plates to be able to have some pieces of it automated. There's still going to be a manual component because people are going to have specific questions that you just can't automate or plan for. And obviously, especially as you're just starting and building it out for, at the very beginning, you want to get it out there fast and learn from how people are interacting with it so that you can build in more automation and automate more things as you go.
But also how great that this ManyChat facilitated communication, started a conversation because yes, it started out automated, but how great that it started a conversation that you can build a relationship, but also you can learn from. Pretty cool.
Yeah. And so again, back to the point that people are commenting, we're responding with an automatic response. And so that level of commenting boosts visibility of our content, of these ManyChat enabled posts within the algorithm. So everyone's winning with ManyChat. The customer is, you are, it's big fans. Definitely check it out. I think they might have some sort of free option to be able to check it out at the very least too. Next point is hashtags. So there's always some debate on whether or not these matter. I think Instagram recently changed the number that you can add to a post. We schedule everything on Later, and that I think we use Later to schedule all our posts out. Shouldn't say all, 90% of them. Again, there's some things that are just, we're getting out faster and we don't need to actually schedule it, but maybe 99%. Either way, within Later, you can save your hashtags, groups of hashtags. And so for us with 3 different brands, we obviously have different hashtags for each of those brands. And so we can just add those in one click versus manually having to add them each time.
Oh, yeah. That was awful. I remember the days back when I was also the social media, going in and like retyping or even just going over to my notes tab and like trying to say, yeah, exactly. And then, oh, yeah, I don't remember. I don't miss those days.
No. And so obviously you can tailor them if something applies to one thing and not another, but to have most of them already done in one click and maybe you add or exchange or swap 1 or 2, so much easier than doing it from scratch every time. But our recommendation would be to use them. They certainly don't hurt. They can help. So,
and that's like if you post, let's say you post 5 times a week. And let's say it's 52 weeks a year, and say it takes you 5 minutes a piece to add those. That's 1,300 minutes that you're spending adding those, divided by 60 equals 21.6 hours.
That's
just
incredible.
Adding hashtags.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Hours saved.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're not worth it if you're spending that much time, I would say. Yeah. Automate what you can.
No, automate it.
Automate it. A mix of content and format. So we found that Reels, they seem like they made a huge splash initially, but our carousel and static images sometimes perform just as well. And having a mix of types of content really helps us. So stories have been hugely beneficial to us, and we're seeing how we can repurpose work that we're doing on posts and Reels to have a story version or share a reel to story. Definitely share your Reels to story, because why not? That's like 2 clicks and you didn't have to create anything else, which is beautiful. But we'd recommend seeing what your audience most responds to when it comes to topics and format. It's sure to vary audience to audience. Maybe for whatever reason, your audience doesn't view stories. I don't know if there's a demographic thing, like an age demographic that just doesn't do stories. I don't know. But it's worth testing for your brand. And as we were saying earlier, just track what types of topics, if you hit on core topics and their core pieces of information that you want to make sure you can hit on them multiple times, and you can and should repurpose content. I want to underscore that, because if you've created something that did well, post it again in a couple of months. No one's going to remember. And even if they did, it doesn't hurt for them to see it again. And even if they remember and they're like, oh yeah, I saw that. I can't tell you how many things I've liked and where I'm like, I think I liked that a few months ago. I still like it, still need, and it just brings it top of mind for you. So repurpose as much as possible.
Yeah, repurpose posts, repurpose, like if you're using video of yourself and you're doing a voiceover, okay, use that video with a different voiceover. Use that voiceover on a different video or just an image or something like that. Yeah, it does not have to all be from scratch.
Yes. Paid ads, I'd be remiss to say that running ads on the platform certainly leads to an increase in visits to our page profile and helps us grow, and helps, obviously, as more people follow us, then our content does perform better and gets in front of more people, et cetera, et cetera. So paid ads can help boost your organic social strategy. And then in terms of generating leads from social, which is, again, like this, we talked about ManyChat. That's certainly one way to do it. I feel like with social, though, there are so many opportunities. So many people, I think, don't have ways for people to opt in. Again, ManyChat is just one of those ways. But if there's no way to get people from a social platform, be it Instagram, TikTok, wherever. And I know for TikTok and Instagram too, I believe you have to have a certain number of followers to be able to have your link in bio and those sorts of things. If that's where you're starting, that's a good goal to hit, so that you can have these opportunities to put links and have people able to opt into your list from these channels.
I'm always amazed at how many people don't use the link in bio, or they use the link in bio to something else. Like, we were looking at Kate just moved, and we were looking at bookstores in the neighborhood to see and she was like, oh, here's one on Instagram. And the link in bio was for something that it was certainly great. It's for a cause that they support. That's fantastic. But it goes off to that cause's website. So if I were Kate, who's the use case in the scenario, wanted to be like, oh, where are they located? I want to know more about them. What are their hours? There was nothing to click on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do I sign up for their events? How do I?
amazed at how many people, and you can also, you can Linktree is one. I don't even know what all of the other ones are. Because again, thankfully I don't have to. But if you have multiple links, you can have multiple links, but take advantage of that and send people, also keep those up to date. Oh, it makes me crazy.
Oh yeah.
It blows my mind when I go to a link and I click on something. I'm like, oh, that's actually not a valid link anymore. Keep it up to date. Keep it up to date.
Yep.
Because people still go there. I know that it's not as popular as it used to be because there are other options. And I know that it is kind of a pain sometimes to go back to but if it's a piece of information people want,
they need a place to get it.
They need a place to get it. Yeah.
So ManyChat is great. If you're not ready to invest in ManyChat, then certainly having someplace, again, the link in bio for them to get this information. And for Circuit Sales System, folks, having a link to your circuit, to opt into your circuit in your link in bio. So having, your free training, opt into the free training here type of, obviously not those words, but having an opportunity for them to opt into that free training. We see every month we get people through these methods. So through the link in bio, using story highlights, and again, circuit folks, including a link to your circuit as a free training highlight so that they can opt into that. Having pinned posts, so you can have up to 3. I would recommend at least one of those lead to an opt-in for your light bulb video for Circuit Sales System business owners. And you certainly don't want every call to action for every post and every story and everything to sign up for your light bulb video or to what, if you're not in the circuit, whatever your offer is. But if you're sharing other content that maybe drives to a blog post or a podcast episode or whatever, consider the other opportunities that you're creating for them to opt into the light bulb video on those pages. So for example, if you are sending them to a podcast like we do, we send to our show notes on the Circuit Sales System page. You can go to the Energize Your Online Business podcasts from there. So again, if you comment episode 47, whatever number this is, on our Instagram page and get that link, it will be to our site. We're not sending people to Apple. We're not sending people to Spotify, but those opportunities are there from our show notes page, but also with the player on it, so you can play from our page. But on that page, then there are opportunities to opt in for our free training. So we're getting our offer in front of people even when we're sending them the content that they requested. We still have opportunities for them to engage with us further and get further into our ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Even when we send people, we might promote a podcast that I'm on, someone else's podcast even when we're sending people over there, frankly, sometimes we'll send them to that podcast on our own page.
That's what we do. Yeah.
But if we're directing them, sometimes we'll direct them to if it's a recent episode, we'll direct it to the podcast owner's page or listen to it over there. But there's always a call to action from me at the end saying, all right, if you want to hear more from me, if you want to see that, there's always this call to action at the end of that podcast where I'm telling them to go opt in for our free training. The path always leads to opting in for the free training.
Yeah. And it's the same with ManyChat. Even if we did, sending people to that episode that they wanted, there's a delay built in and to say, hey, if you liked this episode, have you also seen our free training? And then if they have, great, we tag them. And so then they never have to see that free training flow again. And there are ways for them to do it. Obviously, if they comment the free training, they will get it. And then if they haven't, then they go into that flow to sign up for our light bulb video. Mm-hmm. And then just the last step is monitoring the DM. So we mentioned earlier that it will probably be a mix, and it will. So you still need to keep an eye, again, even if you automate some level of this, to still keep an eye. So when people have questions, it can be great to follow up after you answered with, let us know if you have any additional questions. By the way, have you had a chance to watch our free training? So if you don't set up ManyChat yourself, you can send them a link. And the beautiful thing is on Instagram, using that as an example, you can't have clickable links in your descriptions of posts and whatnot. You can in stories, and they can click that and tap that.
No. And not only are they not clickable, but you can't highlight them and grab them and, Instagram.
Yeah. But when they DM you, if you get people to interact with you in that way, then those links are clickable. So great place to continue engaging with your audience within the DMs, seeing what other content maybe that you can create, what other opportunities there are, what other holes there are to fill. People will point out things for you and opportunities for you. So keeping an eye on what people want and need, and then obviously giving them opportunities to continue to engage with you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's never a good look if someone DMs you and then, I mean, company wise, like if you DM me on my personal account and we're not connected, it goes to requests and I like never see it. I check my requests once a month. So apologies, but also my personal account that's just my personal account. But on your business account, it's not a good look if someone DMs you and you get back to them like a week later. So you want to give the impression, because you are otherwise a responsible, timely, reliable, dependable business owner. So keep up with those DMs. If you're going to let people message you, then you have to stay on top of it.
Yeah. And so I would say the only other thing is too, we mentioned all these places to opt people in. And then obviously, to track, again, Nikki said earlier, this is likely dotted line to revenue. But I think what we do is we track how many people are opting into our free training via our story highlight, how many people are opting into our free training via our link in bio, how many people are opting in via the various ManyChat flows that we've set up. So keeping an eye on that. There are ways to do this, again, depending what software and systems you use, what you're using for email, and how you can tag people on the back end, all of that good sort of stuff. But there are ways to do it. So definitely worth looking into to see the direct impact that some of your social is having on generating leads for your business.
Absolutely. I think the pitfall that some people can fall into, maybe just the pit that you fall into, that some business owners fall into, is the like, well, I need to be posting on socials. I'm just going to post on social. I'm just going to do this. So I've seen somebody do this, so I'm going to do this. Or I've seen, and doing anything without strategy as a business owner is generally going to be a waste of time. And that goes for sending emails, because you have to be sending emails, posting on social because you have to be posting. Anything that you go into without figuring out why you're going to do it and what outcome you're hoping to get and how you're going to measure that outcome is just a recipe for wasted time and energy, if not also wasted money. So what we tried to do with this episode, and obviously Kate much more so than I, is to give you some tools and strategies for how to go into social and truly make it an engine for driving leads. Sure, post pictures, fun pictures of, the sandwich you had yesterday and the cocktail. But if that's on brand for you, more than anything else, make sure that you are posting with an end in mind, and that yes, it might be a dotted line to revenue, but that it eventually leads to revenue. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah. And the final thought I'll leave you with too is being intentional of what you're putting on each platform. There's certainly opportunities to repurpose it, but we've found with TikTok and Instagram, for example, we're repurposing tons of content between those channels, and certain pieces work certainly, but TikTok, for at least one of our brands, is people are looking for that entertainment factor. Yes, entertainment on Instagram as well, but there's a little more opportunity to share knowledge and information on Instagram, and people save those posts versus TikTok. I don't think anyone's ever saved any of our TikToks ever. It's just not how people are engaging with that platform. And so creating content specifically for each of the social channels. And if that feels overwhelming, yeah, I get it. Pick the channel that, where your audience is. And is your audience on every single social channel? They might not be. We're frankly digging deeper on all of our brands on TikTok to make sure we have a better understanding of who's on there and what of our audiences overlap with the folks there. So start with one platform and creating content for that specific platform, and then kind of build from there.
I love that. Good
versus
point.
doing all the things all at once, which
a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Okay. So with that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Do you want to learn how to sell and scale your offer on Autopilot every single day without the chaos of live launching or the low conversions of Evergreen? Who doesn't, right? Get our free on-demand video training at circuitsalessystem.com/free. And of course, don't forget to subscribe